For segment 2, we finished the red paint, the first layer. This is what it looks like. I did go back over the top after it dried with some watered down red. It was just a little too light. But the sides I left the same. Remember, I used the watered down red, and I really like that, the way that looks. If you can see that, it looks already old. Just some of the old wood is showing through. But the top we're going to do a little bit different. So now we're going to add our turquoise. And like I said, I like to paint upside down. So we're going to leave the top for right now. And put a towel down so you don't scratch your top with any stubbies that might be on your table, any nails or staples or whatever you have on there. So I've got my table upside down. Now I'm going to take my turquoise paint, add it to the secondary container just like we did the red. We're going to put it in about 1/4 of a cup and wash off the top of it. Now I know chalk paint, they say you don't have to sand, and that's true. You don't have to sand before you start. The chalk paint will stick to just about anything, even glass it will stick to. But I do sand, not in the beginning, but after I paint, and I'll do a whole other segment on sanding. It's not like what you think when you sand something that you're going to stain and you really have to get it perfect. There's just certain things that I do, and I mostly use a 220 grit, and when I'm distressing I'll use like a 150, sometimes even a 100 grit if I really want a full distressing. But the sanding is just basically get some of the little chibbles that get there, little chalk, dried up chalk that gets in there, or even paintbrush hairs. It'll take the 220, you can just lightly go over it, and it'll just take out those little tiny imperfections that you don't want in your final product. Okay, so we've washed our brush, and use the Zep for cleaning your brushes. I've had this brush probably for 2 years. I probably wash it 10 times a day because I only use a little bit of paint. And when it starts getting really dry, I go in there and I wash it. So take care of your brush, and it'll last a long time. The Zep really pulls out any paint pigments that are left in there. I just use regular, just water, and then spray it with the Zep, and it comes really clean. And then just hang it to dry. So I'm going to add my turquoise. So we're going on top of the red. So you're going to paint just the same way you did the red. You're not trying to do anything different. And we're going to paint it sloppy, just like we did the other one. So let's go ahead and start painting. And the two colors look fantastic together. Really awesome. Kind of a rustic look, I think. And when we distress along the edges, that beautiful red will show through and just highlight the turquoise. Isn't this turquoise pretty? I'm a little obsessed with this color. And again, sloppy painting. Nothing, no even strokes. Just a little bit of paint on your brush. And I don't want you to keep going over where you just painted. Just paint a couple strokes, leave it alone, and go over to the next one. Let it dry. Don't try to make full coverage of what you just painted, because what's going to happen, it's just going to lift it right off. Just leave it alone. You can always go back. It dries super fast. Just move on, because it's just too frustrating when you put all the paint on and it just keeps lifting back up. Well, it's not ready yet. Give it 5 minutes. That's all you need. Just move on. Sometimes I have to just walk away. I just want to get things done. Oh, I'm really liking the way this looks. I will do one here in the front so you can really see it. This reminds me of colors a pioneer woman would have. Love her. Okay. Can you see that? We've got a nice contrast between the red and the blue. Don't be afraid of chalk painting. You can't really make a mistake. And the best part about chalk painting, no matter what color you put on, you just go right back over it with a different color. I have things I've painted 5 different colors because I changed my mind. But that at the end, that comes out really cool because you got great distressing. You've got different colors that will show through, not just the one that's right underneath. Depends on what grit sandpaper you use. You know, you can go deeper into it or really light. You can also remove some of the paint by using your wet cloth. I call that my wet sanding, and that's a really good look too. You can find furniture at yard sales, thrift stores. Tell your friends that you're doing it. I've gotten a few pieces from people that they don't want the old furniture. Usually it's broken. It's not that hard to repair. A lot of it is just glue. You just have to glue drawers. Usually the dovetails have come apart. And you can get clamps that hold the drawers together at Harbor Freight. They're pretty inexpensive. And you'll get yourself a new drawer. Sometimes they're beyond repair and you can repurpose it into something else. But yard sales is a great place to find them. And you can negotiate the pricing. I find going to thrift stores, I don't always get the best bargain. But yard sales definitely. And estate sales sometimes. Estate sales usually are a lot higher. They usually have higher end furniture. Oh, and Craigslist too. People give away things. There's lots of things I've gotten for free. Porch pickups. Just head on over there and they'll just put it out on the street. First come, first serve. That's always fun. Race to your destination. Okay, see how fast I went? Look at it, I did 4 legs. And as you can see again, this is sloppy painting. I'm not trying to get the whole thing covered. I don't want it to be just blue. I want some of that red to come through. I hope that's coming through on there. Okay, got a couple spots there, but I think it looks pretty good. So we just got this bottom part here, and then we're going to turn it over and start working on the top. And I have a surprise for you because after looking at this, I think we're going to do a crackle on the top, and that's a lot of fun. See, getting lots of lessons in just this little tiny segment. The paint, there's Annie Sloan chalk paint, of course. Very popular, very excellent brand of chalk paint. Excellent results. It's a little pricey, but it goes a long ways. Like you've seen with the red, how much did I use? And I did a whole piece of furniture. So it goes a long ways. Valspar at Lowe's also makes a chalk paint. They have quite a few colors. And Rust-Oleum makes a chalk paint too. I've found that only at Ace Hardware. So I kind of use different ones. They're pretty much the same. Some are a little creamier than others. The red I really like from Annie Sloan. It's a true pigmented red. Gives you a true color. Wow, this is looking great. No time at all. No time at all. Watch your edges a little bit here. Sometimes you get, paint build up right there. Just keep an eye on them. I mean, they're easy to knock down after you get done, but, it's one less step that you have to do at the end. And sometimes it takes off more paint than I wanted to. Okay, look at here. We're almost to the end. I paint all my dressers upside down. Oh my gosh, it's so much easier that way. You get all the nooks and crannies without having to bend over, get on your knees, bend down, everything's right there. And then when you do turn it over, there's usually just a few spots that you have to fix. And then you do your top. And also, I like it that way too, because the top, you know, is the most important and what you're always going to be looking at. So if you paint and you're always moving this upside down and around, you might, you know, might damage it a little bit more than you want to. You might take off some paint or something. So I just leave that till the end, and it works out just fine. Sandpaper, you want to use quality sandpaper. Do not buy cheap sandpaper. Waste of money. Buy the good stuff. Yes, it costs a little bit, but it lasts. You can use that one piece a lot. Don't buy cheap sandpaper. Alright. That's my lesson for today. And chalk painting is also one of those things you can just do on your own. You don't have to have any skills at all to do it. You know, you just go for it. You just paint the way you want. People use different brushes. Some use the Annie-Snow round brush. I prefer this one. It just gets where I need to do, and I think I get the same look that I like. I also use what do you call those brushes? Totally forgot. The what do you call? If you know the answer to this question, send your answer to bluehousevintage@yahoo.com. What the hell are these called? I can't remember. I don't know. So, okay. That's it. We're done. Did I miss anything? If I did, when I turn it upside down, I'll find it so I don't have to bend over like that. And again, I used very little paint. I still have some in there. So I'm going to turn it over and see which part I missed. This is dry. Dries super fast. Yes, super hot here today, but it does dry fast. Okay, so upside down, you can see I just missed a couple spots, but I actually like the way that looks. I'm okay with that. And there's our top. The difference with that turquoise on there. Just a few little spots where I had to get underneath. Oh, I really like the way that looks. I probably won't even have to distress it much. Looks awesome. Use a good quality wood putty. You'll be using quite a bit of wood putty just to do repairs. I use ZAR wood putty, Z-A-R. Super effective, super easy to use. I use my finger to fill in holes, or use a putty knife. Real easy to sand. And that's something you don't want to buy cheap of either. That one's really not expensive, but it really works good. It has no grit to it. It's just really smooth. Paintable. It says it's stainable, but it's not stainable. It didn't work for me. Okay, so we've got our bottom all done. Look how fast we're moving along. Next, we are going to do the top. I'm going to finish up doing the sides. And then we come back for the next segment. We're going to do crackle on the top. Thanks.